Well, family, it's time for another week of meals. Let's get started. Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki and you're with Graham in the kitchen. So this morning I woke up, my husband had some errands to run, and I made pancakes. I'll leave a link in the description below for that recipe. Didn't feel like filming, I am so sorry. I took one of our 3/4 pounds of bacon out of the freezer, put that in the oven, and I baked that for 30 minutes until they were done. We made pancakes, had some maple syrup. That's what we had for breakfast. I'll insert a picture right here to show you that breakfast. But now it's time to make dinner. If you saw last week of meals, where the last meal we had tacos and we made a double batch of rice, we're utilizing that rice today, as well as the leftover chicken when we made chicken noodle soup. And I went ahead and took a pack of our frozen broccoli out of the freezer, and I just grated up some Monterey Jack cheese. We're going to make a cheesy chicken broccoli rice casserole. So on the stove, in this pot right here, I'm going to put about a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. We're going to add a pinch of pepper and a pinch of salt. I'm going to go ahead and dump this chicken. This is already cooked chicken, deboned, deskinned, and cut up into small pieces, because I do want to warm that up just a bit. We're not going to make a roux where that's flour and fat, because rice has enough starch in it. We don't need to add more starch. Just going to warm that chicken for about 5 or 10 minutes. And this is a 10-ounce pack of Broccoli Florets. Let's go ahead and add that in there. I took it out of the freezer this morning, so it's sitting on the counter thawing out. Oven preheated to 350 degrees. I have 1.5 cups of milk. I just want everything just to heat up a little bit, and then we can build our casserole with that milk, chicken, and broccoli. So I'm using a stoneware baking dish. Put some olive oil, good generous amount. Make sure we get the walls, corners, everything well coated with that oil. This is rice left over from dinner. I'm only going to use what a half of a recipe would have been. And this we can have for tomorrow with the leftover tacos. We get another day of tacos. Oh my goodness, I made a mess. Let's pick all this rice up. It's always nice to start off with a good, clean countertop. I do want to break up the rice clumpies. Perfect. Let me put my leftover rice back in the refrigerator. And as soon as the milk, broccoli, and chicken heat up, and then we can put our cheese on top. I just want to bring it to a slight simmer before I go any further. All right, so it came up to a slight simmer. I have a cup of grated Monterey Jack cheese. Just going to dump that in here. Just give it a slight stir. Not really looking to melt the cheese in here yet because it's going to go into the oven. That looks good. Here's our rice. Stir that in just a bit. How easy was that, family? So we're going to cover the casserole. And because this is a stoneware, it's going to take a little bit longer for the stoneware to heat up, to actually heat everything that's in here, such as the rice and getting that milk and cheese with the starch from the rice to make a delicious cheesy sauce. So in a 350-degree oven, I'll check it in an hour. I'll let you know how long that takes. I have a confession to make. After this cooked, Barbara and my two grandsons, Gabriel and Liam, came over to have some cinnamon rolls we made 2 days ago. And we were eating dinner and I forgot to talk about it. So we made a rice, chicken, broccoli, cheesy bake. It took 55 minutes to cook. It didn't take the whole hour. And I let it cool off for about 30 minutes before we start eating it. Wrapped it up, stuck it in the freezer. I was sitting at the computer editing the video and realized I never told you about it. This is delicious. I did heat up some so I can share with you today. Barbara was asking about the recipe. She wants to make this. But it was leftover chicken, frozen broccoli, leftover rice, and if you don't have leftover rice, just make a batch of rice, 1 cup of rice, a pinch of salt and pepper, and 1 pint of chicken broth. I used the Instant Pot on the rice setting, but since I knew I was going to have the leftover chicken, the other night I made a double batch of the rice. Grated up some Monterey Jack cheese, put a little bit of milk, and we have a quick, easy dinner. And the good thing about cooking from scratch is if you don't like chicken, don't use chicken. Use leftover beef. If you don't like broccoli, leave the broccoli out. If you prefer a different vegetable, peppers, onions, mushrooms, asparagus, it doesn't matter, whatever you like. You can make this recipe to fit you, fit your family, fit what you have in your house. Whatever is on sale, get that vegetable. And then you can make this to fit you and your family. But it is delicious. We have our carbs, we have our protein, we have a vegetable, and we have dairy. It's the perfect meal in a bowl. We have enough that the husband and I can have for dinner tonight. We're going to make a very quick breakfast today. I took one of our packs of frozen biscuits. We made this on Thursday. We're just going to cook a dozen. And I have an 8-ounce pack of frozen sausage. This is a homemade sausage. You can use store-bought sausage, but if you've never made homemade sausage and taste the difference, I suggest you get you some Boston pork butt and learn how to make it. In the description below, I'm going to have a link to a video that we did together in making homemade sausage. The flavor is so much better than store-bought, and it's easy to make, and it's ingredients we know. I have my standard size cast iron skillet. We're going to get this buttered up and get some biscuits in the oven. Oven is preheating to 350 degrees. So I have a paper towel with some butter. Just going to smear it all over this pan. That looks good. And I'm just going to place 12 biscuits in this pan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got to do a little finagling to get 12 in here, but we'll get them in here. Good. So there's 12 more biscuits in this bag. I'm gonna stick this back in the freezer. The oven is preheated to 350 degrees. I wanna stick the biscuits in there. It's gonna take between 30 and 40 minutes, but I will let you know how long it took to cook our frozen homemade biscuits. And we don't have any eggs in the house. So I would do sausage, eggs, and biscuits. I don't pick up my milk and eggs for another 2 or 3 days. We're just not gonna worry about the eggs. So the husband and I are just going to have sausage biscuits. That's okay. That's what we have. That's what we're using. I have another standard size cast iron skillet on the stovetop. I want that to warm up. And the sausage I took out of the freezer early this morning. And this is 8 ounces. It's still a little frozen in the center, but that's okay. We're still going to work with this. So I'm going to divide this into 4 pieces. And we're going to make patties. I'm going to put a little divot right in the center. That helps that when it cooks and it shrinks up, it fills in those divots and it doesn't make a meatball. It'll leave it as a patty. Perfect. Let me wash my hands. Our skillet is nice and hot. I'm going to put a little bit of avocado oil. Put in our sausage, divot side up. And we're just going to cook that for a few minutes on each side until they're done. Ground pork, including breakfast sausage, needs to be 160 degrees. So I'm just checking the temperature by going in on the side. That one is 165 degrees. Check another one just to make sure. Make sure you're not piercing it. You got the probe in the patty all the way. That's 165. Sausage is done. Turn the burner off. Go ahead and remove the sausage. And we're still waiting on the biscuits. They've been in the oven for 16 minutes. They have thawed. They're starting to rise. And we need to cook them until they're nice and golden brown. I'll let you know how long it's going to take. We're still cooking them. And then we can have breakfast. It's been 21 minutes. But look how much they rose. Aren't they beautiful? And now we just need to let them brown and get done. And then we can have breakfast. I don't know about you, but I'm excited. The biscuits took 40 minutes from frozen to the oven to ready to eat. So they do take 10 extra minutes from frozen versus fresh. I'm going to put some butter on the biscuits. 2 sausage patties. And we have 2 cinnamon rolls left. So we're each going to get a cinnamon roll. Let me take this to the husband. So our frozen biscuits took 40 minutes to cook. Sausage took just a few minutes just to make the patties. Cook those in a cast iron skillet. Make sure they reached 160 degrees internal. Cinnamon rolls, we made this on Thursday. If you want to check that video out, I'll put a link right here. Plus in the description below, showing how we made our cinnamon rolls so we can have some for us, share with the grandsons, plus have one in the freezer. And I still cannot wait till I get my flour from Azure Standard, the flour I love baking with. So we can make these cinnamon rolls again and just see if it's the flour that's making it taste different or is it something else. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sorry, I'm brewing coffee. These are good, but they're just not the same. I'm gonna go ahead and make a cup of coffee for the husband. He likes sugar and milk in his coffee. I don't use either one. I drink my coffee black. And another thing I'm excited about getting from Azure Standard is my organic cane sugar. This is store-bought conventional sugar. Family, it's not the same. I haven't placed an Azure order since June of 2024, and it's the end of January. So the first week in February, I'm getting sugar and flour, plus some other things. So the husband and I are going to sit down and have our breakfast, our sausage biscuits with a cinnamon roll, plus some coffee. We do have to cook dinner tonight. I have no leftovers left in my house, so I'll see you in a couple hours when it's time to eat dinner. Just not the same. It's time to cook dinner. So I took one of our packages of 4-count hot Italian sausage. I'm going to get these in the oven to cook. I shared this technique with y'all before. This is a restaurant hack. So I have this small cast iron skillet. Let me wash my hands. Whenever you're dealing with raw meat, you always want to wash your hands in between. I have a little bit of water. And I'm going to fill the pan up just halfway up the sausage. Make sure they're separated. And this is going to go in the oven for 30 minutes. Then I'll turn the sausage and back in the oven for another 30 minutes. Oven is preheated to 350 degrees. Now this is the cast iron skillet we used to cook our sausage this morning. This is what I'm going to roast our potatoes in. This is leftover fajita seasoned cooked potatoes. I'm going to add a little bit more avocado oil. And I'm just going to sit this on top of the stove until we're ready to cook the sausage the second 30 minutes. And as for the vegetables, I have 2 onions, 2 jalapenos, and they are large jalapenos, a yellow pepper, and a red pepper that was left over when we made tacos. We used the orange pepper. So I'm going to de-seed, stem, and cut these into juliennes. These are pretty good size, so I'm going to cut them in half. And I'm cutting them about 1/4 inch thick. I'm going to do the same thing with the jalapenos. Now, if you like spicy, you can leave the seeds and the ribs in. I am going to remove those. Probably should have got a bigger bowl, but that's okay. And I'm going to cut them from top to bottom, again in 1/4 inch slices. All the vegetable scraps, including the jalapeno stems, seeds, everything, onion peels, it's going to go in a Ziploc bag. I'm going to stick this in the freezer. We're going to keep adding to this any vegetable scraps we have, minus anything that's starch, such as potato peels. You don't want to save your potato peels. But this is going to go in the freezer, and we can either turn this into a vegetable stock, or we can add it to our chicken bones and make chicken broth. So I have another cast iron skillet going on the stove. I'm going to put that on medium heat. Add some avocado oil. Let that warm up and we'll get vegetables sauteed. We still have 18 minutes left before we have to turn the sausage and before we add the potatoes. So I only have 3 oils in my house: coconut oil, olive oil, and avocado oil. I do not have any seed oil in my house. I do not use canola oil, vegetable oil. Those oils are highly processed and have been known to cause cancer. I'm trying to keep the husband and myself healthy using good quality ingredients and especially good quality oil. Each oil I use has a different purpose. Olive oil has a good, sweet, nutty flavor if you're trying to add another depth of flavor to your cooking. It's good to bake with. It's good to cook on the stovetop at a low temperature. The heat point or the smoke point of olive oil is low, so I try not to use that in high cooking. Coconut oil I use when I need to deep fry, because out of the 3 oils, that is the cheapest oil I purchase. So if I'm deep frying or pan frying and I need a good amount of oil, I'll use coconut oil. Yes, the flavor does carry just a bit, but it's oil I'm not scared to waste, if you want to use those terms. I'm using it to do its purpose, but I can't reuse that oil for something else. So coconut oil is what I use to do a lot of pan frying. Avocado oil I like because it's a neutral oil. It has no flavors that carry over, and it has a very high heat point or high smoke point. So when I'm doing some intense heating and cooking on the stovetop, and I need my skillet to be hot, ready to go to receive the ingredients I'm putting there, I'll use avocado oil because it can reach higher temperatures out of all the oils that I use. Now, if you're okay using seed oil or okay using canola or vegetable oil, then you can use that when you're pan frying. It's inexpensive, and in my opinion, when things are cheap in the store, they're going to cost you money and health. Choose your battles. Spend the money up front getting good quality oil, or spend money on the back end and go see a doctor and find out why you have health problems. That is my opinion only. You could take that with a grain of salt and move on. But if you're going to cook from scratch, homemade meals to feed your family, not only do you have to be concerned about the ingredients you're using, you need to be concerned about how you're cooking it and the ingredients you're using to cook with. We use real butter, avocado oil, olive oil, and coconut oil. That is it. Do your research. Find out what everybody is saying about all those other seed oils, canola oil, vegetable oils. Make your own decision. I'm just here to tell you what we do and why we do it. So my pan is nice and hot. I'm going to start off with cooking the onions first. And once they're cooked, translucent, and a little bit on the limp side, I'll add all the peppers. I do want to add some salt and a little bit of pepper. That's probably going to take about 5 or 10 minutes. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the yellow, red, and jalapeno peppers. And I'm going to let that cook for about 10 to 15 minutes until the peppers are soft and tender. I'm going to turn it down to a medium-low. I do not have a lid for this cast iron skillet, so I'm just going to use a pizza pan, cover it so it can steam as well as cook in that hot skillet. You can see it's starting to release some of its liquid, and that's going to help steam those peppers. I'm excited. And we have 3 minutes left before we have to turn the sausage. 30 minutes on the sausage is ready for us to turn. They are not done. We just want to make sure that they're getting cooked all the way through. Perfect. Back in the oven for another 30 minutes. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and add our potatoes. Another 30 minutes on the timer. Let's check the vegetables. Oh yeah, they're looking beautiful. The peppers are starting to go a little limp, and that's exactly how I like them. Onions are cooked all the way through. and I still have it on a medium low. So the sausage and the potatoes have been in the oven for 13 minutes. We still have 18 minutes left. But the peppers and the onions have been cooking this whole time, and that is exactly where I want it. There's no more liquid in here. All the water has rendered and soaked up into those vegetables to soften them. I'm going to go ahead and turn the burner off. I'm going to leave them in the pan on this hot grate from this burner so they can dry out a little bit more and maybe crisp up. Sausage and the potatoes are looking beautiful. I'll see you in about 17 minutes. Potatoes have been in the oven for 30 minutes. I do want to give them a little toss. Oh yeah, they're looking good. I'm going to put this back in the oven. And the sausage has been in the oven for the second 30 minutes. I do want to cut them in half, lengthwise. I'm going to remove the water from the pan. And now I'm going to put them back in the pan, cut side down. And this is going to go back right beside the potatoes. And I'm just going to leave it in the oven for about 15 minutes, just so that cut side get a nice crisp to it. Vegetables are done, the potatoes are done. I'm just leaving them in there for additional 15 minutes with that sausage. Then we can have dinner. You could turn this into subs if you had sub breads or hot dog buns. We do not. I'm not going to the store and get any. So we're just going to eat it on a plate with some potatoes, vegetables, and sausage. Potatoes are ready, and the sausage. Look at that, family. Delicious meal. We'll take a half link of sausage. Oh yeah, perfect. We'll put some peppers and onions. Some potatoes. I'm not a big fan of ketchup, but I do like hot sauce on my potatoes. Husband will probably put ketchup on his. They're cooked perfect. And some peppers. I like my onions cooked really soft, but I still like to have a little bite left to my peppers. That's why we started off cooking the onions first, and then we added the peppers. The leftover potatoes from those breakfast burritos, they got a little bit of crisp on the outside, seasoned perfect. We're going to sit down and have dinner. This probably will last tonight and tomorrow for lunch. And then tomorrow night, we got to cook dinner again. But that's okay. I don't mind cooking our meals from scratch because that's the ability to give my family, the husband and myself, a healthy, nutrient-dense, variety food on a budget. I'll see y'all tomorrow. So the next meal we're going to make is actually going to be lunch. This is the day after we cooked our sausage and peppers and the leftover potatoes. But I have one of our frozen pizzas. And I have just a little bit of potatoes. It looks like we have 4 pieces of half Italian sausage. I am going to slice those 1/4 inch thick. I'm going to put that on top of our pizza. And I have some peppers and onions left. I mean, we'll put that on half. Husband's not a fan of peppers and onions, so I'm just going to put it on my half. There we go. I can use this with some breakfast one day this week. So I have the air fryer basket lined with aluminum foil. I'm just going to add these few little potatoes. It's not a lot. I have the wire rack in the air fryer. I'm just going to add the pizza right to that wire rack. Add the basket right underneath. I'm going to put it on air fryer for 20 minutes. And in 10 minutes, I'm going to turn that pizza a 180-degree turn. So the front is now going to be the back, and the back will be the front. The potatoes will give it a little toss to make sure they're heating up evenly all through those potatoes. And then lunch will be ready. Okay, it looks like it only took 18 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this because the pizza looks done. Nice and brown and crispy. Look at that, family. That is gorgeous. And easy cleanup. And I'm just using a knife instead of a pizza cutter. Well, because the pizza cutter is just going to push all the toppings to the side. We have done really good this week about repurposing leftovers. This is another way we repurpose leftovers by using that Italian sausage on a pizza that we had in the freezer. And plus those peppers. So good. Oh my goodness. We're going to sit down and have lunch, and I don't know what we're going to do for dinner. I do have one more thing left over in the refrigerator from earlier. I need to take care of that, so I'll see y'all tomorrow. Well, I went shopping in my pantry, and I picked up a few things. It's time to make the last meal this week. The husband and I are planning on going to North Carolina in a couple of days, so I'm hoping this meal will last us today and tomorrow so that we don't have to cook anymore before we leave. What are we having and what are we repurposing? We're going to make a homemade taco hamburger helper. I have a quart-sized jar of chicken broth, a pack of macaroni, some taco seasoning, one of our home canned pinto beans, a can of tomatoes. These are diced tomatoes. a can of tomato sauce, and some of our corn tortillas. I went shopping in the freezer and took out a pound of organic grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef. I have just a little bit of taco meat. You saw that video last week, but it's only been 5 days, so it's still good. And I have a little bit of refried beans. We're going to repurpose those tacos and make a delicious meal. But first we need to do some vegetable prep so we can get started. I have a very small onion. I am just going to dice up as small as I possibly can. So the onion scraps are going to go into the scrap bag to go back into the freezer. And when we get enough vegetable scraps, we can either make vegetable broth or we can add this to our chicken bones and make a delicious aromatic chicken broth. We're only using a half of a diced onion. The other one I went ahead and diced up, put it in a freezer Ziploc bag, and this is going to go in the freezer when I need another half onion. And I have just a little bit of cheese left. So I have a little bit of Monterey Jack, a little bit of pepper jack, and I have a little bit of sharp cheddar cheese. So I'm going to use all the Monterey Jack, all the pepper jack, and maybe half of the sharp cheddar. Let me go ahead and get that all grated up. So it's about 7 ounces of cheese total. And I got 8 ounces of macaroni weighed out, waiting on us. And as for the beans, I'm just going to drain and rinse the beans just to get off of that bean liquor. Let's go ahead and get everything started. I got the pasta pot on the stovetop on medium heat, a little bit of avocado oil. And I'm going to let that warm up before we add the ground beef, saute that. Then we'll add the cooked taco meat and the leftover refried beans. We're just going to brown this beef until it's about 90% done. So our hamburger is starting to release some of its fat. I'm going to go ahead and put the onions in, so the onions can cook with the hamburger. I'm going to add the leftover taco meat and the leftover refried beans. We're going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. We have plans for the rest. A can of diced tomatoes. Three tablespoons of our taco seasoning. A quart of chicken broth. Can of pinto beans that have been drained and rinsed. I'm going to let this come up to a boil. I'm going to let it boil for about 10 minutes to make sure that hamburger is done. We'll taste it for any seasoning. We have not added no salt or pepper because our homemade taco season has both salt and pepper. So we want to taste it before we add that. Once it comes up to a boil and the season is perfect, we can add our pasta. We're going to let the pasta cook in this pan so the pasta will absorb all that deliciousness. Lid on, still on medium heat. It's starting to come to a simmer. It has not come to a full boil yet. Just giving it a little stir. Let's go ahead and taste it for seasoning. I think it needs just a little bit more salt. Now we're going to add 8 ounces of macaroni pasta. I'm going to turn it just a little bit towards the low, but still close to medium. And we're going to let that cook until the pasta gets done and absorbs most of this liquid. We're going to come in here and stir it about every 5 or so minutes. I'm going to leave the lid off. So I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in this small ramekin. I have the oven preheating to 350 degrees. I have 10 corn tortillas. We're going to make our own tortilla crisp so we can put it on top of our chili macaroni hamburger helper. So I'm going to cut them about 1/2 inch strips. And then maybe 2 inches. I got a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. And I'm just going to paint olive oil just so they can have something to like crisp up. We'll give it a little toss, flatten it back out into a single layer as much as possible, and I'm going to sprinkle some salt right on top. We'll put this in a 350 degree oven, and about every 2 minutes I'm going to give them a toss until they're nice and crispy, almost like a chip. Now when you open up a can of tomato paste and you don't use it all, don't throw it away. Do not put it in your refrigerator because you're going to forget about it. I just take about a tablespoon, a little square of parchment paper, and I put it in a Ziploc bag, and this goes in the freezer, and the next time I need just a tablespoon, I don't have to waste another can. I'll just grab it from the freezer. It's time to give our tortilla chips a little toss. And back in the oven. You can see it thickening up, and our macaroni is cooking beautiful, absorbing all that liquid. I do want it just a tad bit more thicker, so I'm just going to let it continue to cook until some of that liquid evaporates. The pasta likes to absorb a lot of salt. We did add salt. I want to taste it again. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and check a macaroni to see if it's done, if it needs any more seasoning. It's getting there. I'm going to turn it down right in the middle of medium and low. Doesn't need any more seasoning. It is perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. Nice and thick. family. That is gorgeous. Now we're going to add our cheese right on top. I'm going to turn the burner off, put the lid on, let it sit right there until that cheese can melt. The residual heat from the pan plus the grate on the stovetop will do the job to heat that up and melt that cheese. And I've been tossing these about every 2 to 3 minutes. They're not quite ready yet. They're still a little flimsy. I want them a little bit crispy and crunchy. So while we're waiting for the cheese on the chili mac and cheese, not hamburger helper, melts, and we're waiting on those tortillas to crisp up, I have a question for you. How is your hashtag Grammy challenge going? Are you reducing your store-bought convenient food? Are you reducing eating out, eating fast food, spending money on food already prepared? Have you reduced any? If you have, let me know about a percentage that you reduced. Are you reducing once a week, once a month? Let me know how this is going for you. This channel is to show you that you can feed your family on a budget if you know how to shop the sales, how to repurpose leftovers, how to make hamburger helper from scratch, as long as you have the ingredients to make the things. Just let me know how the Grammy challenge is working for you. Is this something you think is feasible in your family? Do you have a little bit of resistance from a family member that doesn't like homemade hamburger helper versus that box? And I'm telling you, the reason the box is so popular, one, it's cheap. And two, the ingredients that are in there are addictive ingredients. A lot of things have high fructose corn syrup. And high fructose corn syrup in excess is addictive and known to cause health problems. But if you have the staples in your house, if you can find pasta on sale or make it yourself, if you can find canned goods when they have them on sale where you can get 2 for $1 or buy it by the case for a certain amount, that's when you stock up on pantry things. I get my spices and herbs from Azure Standard. I find the quality is better than you could get at the grocery store. And because you can buy in bulk, whether you're buying 4 ounces or a pound or more of individual spices and herbs, you actually save money and you can make your own homemade taco seasoning or any of the blends you like. Down below, I'm going to have the recipe for the taco seasoning as well as the fajita seasoning we used on the potatoes that we repurposed for 2 days. I'm going to leave a recipe below for all the things we made this week. But all of our meals this week were repurposed. Our broccoli, rice, chicken, cheesy was repurposed chicken and rice. The sausage and peppers was repurposed potatoes. Yesterday we made pizza. We repurposed the sausage and the peppers. And today we're having a hamburger helper, mac and cheese, and we repurpose taco meat and refried beans. So you can get creative, repurpose leftovers, and still make a homemade delicious meal to feed your family. We need to check on these tortillas another time. Okay, they're starting to crisp up, but it still has a little bit to go. I'm gonna let it continue and we'll toss it every 2 to 3 minutes. But don't forget, let me know how the Grammy challenge of reducing to the point of eliminating processed food, eating out, eating junk food. It's working for you and your family. We got them nice and golden brown. Beautiful. Oven off. Now we're ready to eat. Can you see all that melted cheese in there? Oh, that is so pretty. Ooh, cheesy goodness. Need to clean that bowl up. How beautiful is that, family? It's like a taco mac and cheese. It's going to be hot, but I want you to hear something. One of our corn tortillas that we put a little bit of olive oil and salt and just baked that, tossed it every 2 to 3 minutes. It might have took about 30, 40 minutes altogether, but listen, nice and crunchy. So delicious. Well, that is 4 recipes we did this week, all repurposing leftovers. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you don't mind, let me know how the Grammy Challenge is working for you, where you can reduce to the point of eliminating all processed food, prepackaged food, and eating junk food in your home. Let me know how it's working for you. And I want to say thank you to all of our new subscribers we have gotten this month. It is wonderful. I want to do a shout out to Mornings with Granny. She mentioned my channel a couple weeks ago. A lot of her subscribers have come over and joined our family in Grammy in the Kitchen, learning how to stock a pantry, stock a freezer, shopping the things that are on sale, buying what we need, not necessarily buying all the things we want. If this is the first video you've seen, please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button, because we put out 3 videos a week. Tuesdays is usually whatever is going on at that time. Thursday, I try to make something sweet on a budget using pantry items. And then on Saturday, we do a week of meals of all the things we eat during the week. So please, hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the Grammy family. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video. And this, I believe, will last us until we go to North Carolina. Inexpensive, repurposing leftovers, pantry and freezer items we already have on hand. Y'all have a good day.